Going on, everybody? Welcome. Fresh week here on Propping Up on the Gold Boys Network, brought to you by Pickett. Best app to connect your sports books, track your success in real time, see how April went, see how May's been starting off, thanks to Pickett. We got one hockey game tonight, should be fun. Vegas and Edmonton. And maybe once we exhaust ourselves of all the plays that look so good in this one, we can chat about tomorrow's games a little bit also. I'm GriffyBets, joined by WallaBets here as always. Walla, how we doing? How was your weekend?
It's been good. Nice weather has really, brought up the
Oh
mood
yeah.
as well. It's been just beautiful out. So, been, getting out, doing some things, and that honestly makes the betting a little bit less stressful when you're out and about doing stuff. So been having a good stretch here. I know you are as well with your plays. It's been some fun playoff hockey. So just hoping to keep that mood going.
It has. You're right. The sun does make everything better. It's much easier to you do your pass on your bets, especially now. You kind of know what you're betting. You're not going to find too many new gems at this stage. Find them and yeah, get outside. Don't go overboard on bets. Yeah, I had a wedding on Friday. It was supposed to be like 48, so I packed a tweed suit and I get out there and it was like 65. So I made it work, but tweed and 65 is just pushing it. So it was a sweaty little Friday, but I can't complain.
That reminds me, my wedding was outside in August. It was about 100 degrees, and then the feel, like, where it says real feel, was like 112. I thought I was gonna die that day.
Yeah, I'm hoping my July wedding is not like that because I will sweat through everything I'm wearing immediately.
Yeah,
But we'll
brutal.
cross that bridge when we get there. I'm sure people didn't come here to have us talk about the weather.
It's always a good
Uh, yeah, last week was the best week I ever had betting hockey. I would love to keep winning the bets. I found it was a lot more fun when they were all winning. Yesterday was little rough. I was a little hesitant. I didn't play as many as the same looks with the location swap. I thought Toronto might not get as many shots off. Dallas had not been shooting much on the road um, against Minnesota, and they certainly didn't get many off yesterday. But tonight, the location switches, and it's not making me change anything in this one. Just personally, I don't know how much you've been looking at it at this point, um, but I always start with the team data, obviously, and just looking back on how the first round went for these two teams in their new respective locations, along with their meetings during the regular season. I'm not seeing anything that drastic that suggests Vegas and Edmonton can't keep finding shots and goals. So I'm expecting another fun game. Definitely loaded up, decent amount of plays off that belief, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, you could see the history between the teams, and it's like there's a lot of good numbers for these guys. This is a series, there's just some of those matchups where the guys can just step it up a bit. And yeah, this one's been good even throughout the season. So there's a lot of, like you said, there's just a lot of stuff that stands out. Guys who've just been, rolling in the postseason, and have that history even in previous matchups. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down today. I think I was talking to you about it. I've kind of, dialed back on the unit size a little bit just because I don't want to overload up on one game and stuff like that. So I've been trying to find those angles and doing half unit plays personally, just in case there's one of these games that comes along and just, everybody kind of just gets shut down or something like that. But I think there's a lot of really positive trends here. And while people have been playing a lot of the same things, there might be some stuff that you might not even have realized was looking as good as it is. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, I think it's a funny combination of wanting to bet the hot hand and guys that are producing, but also seeing some guys that just seem a little too quiet. Um, that doesn't always work. I mean, take how many times I
Timo.
bet Timo to score last round. He finally came through yesterday, but
Oh, man.
there is like a couple points props, for example, today that the guys on his line are producing, but he hasn't yet. Why don't I'll just talk about one, Jonathan March. So to get just really on the score sheet in any way. Guy's been shooting like crazy. He's got 11 shots on goal in these first two games. No points to speak of. I've been betting his goal both these games to failure. I'm going to pivot to his point, which was plus money. Um, I mean, Barbashev, who we can talk about, has been rolling. Uh, Eichel had 2 points in game one. And I mean, the guy's had so many quality chances. And so seeing him at plus money, still not involved, I just feel like he's got to break through sooner before later. So in terms of a fresh face, not really that fresh. I've been betting his goal, but I'm going back to him. And I'm sure now that I've given up on goal, he will deliver. He's plus 250 to score down on FanDuel if you scroll past that same game parlay box, but I would be satisfied with a point. So that's just one fresh look for me that I like.
Yeah, I could see the goal coming though. I mean, what he just had a game with 7 shot attempts and all 7 were on goal. So
I know it's
it
like,
just
come
feels
on,
like
game.
that's it's the breaking point here. He just hit the freaking target so many times. It's like just is it going to finally boil over? We've talked about that a few times with some other players where they're just hitting the net so many times and just not scoring a goal, and then they could follow that up with a game where they just fire away, like just fire one shot off, and it's a goal. It's just like it's the data finally like aligned for them. Feels like that could be tonight.
He's right in the mix with Eichel for most expected goals this series on Vegas, and he leads them in high danger chances. I think he's got like 6 in these 2 games. It's like just get one in the net
245,
already.
for a goal.
I know. I mean, he hasn't scored yet this postseason. Um, I don't know. I just feel like it's still in the top line. Getting a price like that, I just had to jump on it.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
his shots look great, obviously too. I've been putting them in a couple underdog plays that have been winning. Um, I'm surprised the price is still. I thought they would bump him up quickly based on how well he's done against Edmonton the last 2 years, averaging 4 shots on goal against him in the last 10 meetings.
Yeah.
Still 2.5. Definitely a viable option today.
Yeah, I've been playing his shots straight. It's a little now it's up there a little bit. But yeah, this was a guy I was excited about before the series started. Um just thought he was gonna start, you know, getting those shots off, and so far he has been. I know I talk about it all the time on the show when I see a guy who's just been he went 7 for 7 and then 4 for 5. Makes me like a little nervous if he's gonna see some regression. It happened to uh Ryan O'Reilly the other day. It was like I happened to be poking around his chart and noticed he had like 7 games in a row um against the Panthers where he only had missed one shot attempt. It was like 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 7-on-7, 3-on-3. It was like crazy numbers. And then last game I just noticed was like block, miss, block. I was like, oh God. It was just it finally caught up to him. And but that's why I could kind of see him like maybe he just nets one here, finally gets it in. But that 245 price. That's
I bet him before game one. Then I live bet him as I watched because he was robbed twice. And then I just bet him again in game two. Maybe I need to still put his goal in something. I know it's coming. I mean, the guy's had so many good looks. Uh, and I do like the over here. I paired it with the first period over. Um, they only ended on 6 goals. I mean, Edmonton certainly did their job at game two. They got out to a quick 4-0 lead, won 5-1. But 5 of 6 meetings have hit 7 goals between these two, and first period overs and both teams to score in the first period have been smashing. They've got 9 goals in the first periods this series between them, which is just crazy. So if you like hone in on some sort of instant gratification bet. Either like a goal in the first 10 or both teams to score, or tacking on over 1.5 in the first, like I'm doing with the game total of 6.5. It's been pretty consistent with these teams, not just when they play each other, but in their other postseason games this year as well. So I'm going right back to that. Another one I've been betting the last couple games.
Yeah, it's hard to think that much will change. There's been a lot of history here, so and just as we're talking about it, you're seeing this volume from some of these guys that is bound to lead to something soon. A guy I want to talk about is not it's not a hidden name, but I just think that people are overlooking. Mark Stone.
Mm-hmm.
He's been incredible with the points. He's on
Yeah.
a 6-game streak now, multi-point games. His assist is still plus money, which he's had in each one of those games, 6-game streak. He's got he has 5 points now total against Edmonton. 2 of those were in the postseason, but he had 2 points against them earlier on. And his road numbers are just, it seems fake. He has a point in 86% of his road games. He's on what is that? At least a 10-game streak here now. So on the road. So I think he's somebody, if you're looking around, making parlays, or you want some plus money, his assist looks pretty good. But everybody's been talking about Bouchard, and rightfully so. He's been getting all those assists, the power play points. But Mark Stone's on a streak here too, and he's still at plus money for his assist.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, yeah, I did. I've been playing Bouchard. Me and AO Gold Boys been playing Bouchard since game one against the Kings, and
Yeah,
he's been one of my best friends. And I'll never stop betting him. I don't care how juiced it gets. I'm going to just keep betting.
his
Uh,
assist is still good.
yeah, I played his assist. His power play point was actually a shade better, and most of them have been coming on the power play. We
Yeah,
actually sprinkled out him to get 2 points at MGM at plus 425. Seemed like a crazy price for what he's been doing. But anyway, back to I liked Mark Stone too. Not just him getting a point in 6 straight, but just the amount of points he had. Uh, he's got 11 points in those 6 games. If you have Caesars, I know, and I bet 365, but I think the price on Caesars has been way better for these same game parlays of guys to get a point. If they're on different teams, you can do them. I thought Stone and Hyman to each get a point. I think that was plus 150. Hyman's got 5 points in these 2 games. He's got a point in 6 straight against Vegas. That was plus 150. I thought was pretty nice. Those two. Caesar's been giving me a ton of issues just to access that stupid app.
I haven't
Um,
seen. I was on there earlier trying to find. I wanted to do a same game parlay in this one, and I couldn't. Nothing was coming up for me. I'll have to try again, because I know yesterday I I did I did a play, and it was like plus 175 on bet 365, and then it was plus 250 on Caesars. Uh, it was
oh,
just a point parlay, so need that price difference. That's massive.
I know. First, I accidentally deposited in the wrong state on Caesars, and it didn't translate to my state, and they wouldn't give me my money back. And then the next time, I just stared at the app load for 7 minutes. I'm like, what am I doing with my day here? If they don't want me on this app, forget it. So out of protest, I've given up trying on that app right now. But that same game parlay option offering, if you have it, I mean, the odds are just the best in the biz. No one else is really letting you do this. So
Are you able to look at it now, or were you just talking? You just knew from before?
I I can just like I can view it like on desktop if I'm not logged on, but on my I don't know, it keeps crapping the bed on my phone.
Yeah, I wanted to do Bouchard Stone. It's plus 130 on bet 365 point parlay. Looks, just both those guys are just rolling right now.
Yeah, they are. I know a lot of people got FanDuel 50% boosts to use either today through Wednesday or Thursday. I would say someone like Bouchard is a good use there. With his assists, I would probably bring it to plus money. Obviously, we need to talk about Leon Draisaitl. Uh, could be a nice his goal is finally getting a little juice. Looks like the price has been moving even more. He'd be another good candidate for that boost. Guy's a man possessed right now. I drank the juice and just bet him at minus 122 to score. I've been betting him for a couple games now. I can't possibly stop now. He looks awesome. Really, just anytime they get on the power play, his team has just been awesome to watch. I do, for people that care, like to bet on the winners, I do lean Edmonton here, coming back off that big win at home, taking this one also. And yeah, I expect Draisaitl to score again. I expect McDavid to keep ripping shots after scoring twice in game 2. There's so much that looks good. I feel like we've only touched the surface.
Yeah, you could just run a Draisaitl goal and Bouchard assist parlay if you wanted. I think that was plus 140 on Bet 365, but that doesn't include overtime for the goal if it happens. Not that Draisaitl has needed overtime recently, but yeah, there's some options there. If you want to get some plus money, they're highly correlated, and it's been just pretty much automatic so far. So still good plus money on some of these plays that just every game seems to just be just coming through.
Yeah, I do like McDavid's shots on goal. He hasn't had the most steady success against Vegas the last 2 years, but he's got 15 attempts in these first 2 games, 4 and 3 shots on goal. And I'm just looking at his home playoff games. He's been so steady at getting 4. All 3 this year, 6 straight, 8 of his last 9. So I'm willing to bet he gets 4 tonight. I think it's a good look with something. I paired it with Eichel, who maybe you want to talk about next. I've just been running a lot of the same looks every game here, but it's been working, so I'm not going to stop doing it. McDavid and Eichel under the FanDuel player performance parlays is a really nice price to each get 4. Eichel's been rolling. If you want to talk about him,
Yeah, I like that parlay too. I'll probably just throw a little bit on it just cause. But I played Eichel straight. Yeah, I did that yesterday with like Montour. I did a half unit on Montour, and then I did another quarter unit on like Montour Nylander. Didn't come through, but just trying to get those plus money, in some of these games. When we're seeing guys, Marcia Stowe's up to minus 140 now. So trying to find those plus money looks, and Eichel, looks good to me. 4 of his last 5, so definitely picking it up in the postseason. I think I expected more from him this season. I think a lot of people did in terms of, especially betting shots just from last season. His 3.5 line was like automatic in a lot of situations, so especially on the road. So it's nice to see him back. And if you just look at his chart real quick, it's so easy to see just the volume difference from the whole season up until just the last stretch of games, 10 plus games. He's been firing away a lot more, and I always love doing that, the attempts filter. And if you just move him up to where he's been lately, which is 5-6 attempts, it goes 63% at 5 attempts, 76% at 6 attempts. So plus money, that's just a
how
matter of following those stats.
while you have those attempt filters up, how's his goal production been when he gets a little bit more volume? Because he's been shooting steady here, and his only goal has been it was an electric empty netter, but was an empty netter. And I do feel like he's due for just saying, a good old fashioned 5-on-5 goal, maybe tonight.
Actually, it's really not. There's not any big jump, around 5 or 6 attempts. Uh, Maybe when you get up to 6 attempts, it goes to a 39% hit rate, and he's down at 32 uh, for the season. So it doesn't change too much, but obviously, I think it will make you feel better just seeing that more volume there now. He's kind of just kicked it up a gear here when they needed it. So I like following following that steady volume for the most part recently. You just bring it up and you could see it's kind of a steady line around 6 attempts. He's averaging 6.5 over his last 10. So that makes me comfortable looking at the filter in the 5, 6+ range there. And the hit rate looks good to me for plus money.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the first. I mean, 5 in both these games, 4 and 7 on the 2 road games last round. And I think he's got 4 and 5 of his last 7. Yeah, against Edmonton. Yeah, I see no reason he's going to start slowing it down now. And I do like if I'm going to do like a goal score parlay, and I do think this is, you know, obviously if I like the over, one of the ideal series to take some shots like that for fun. I don't know how I don't have Draisaitl, McDavid, and Eichel all in it. I'm thinking maybe Marchessault brings that thing home, but
That
uh,
would be wild.
I definitely think Eichel. I thought Eichel looked good for a goal just based on his volume, leads some unexpected goals. Um, and again, I don't see the pace slowing down in the slightest here. I actually think it's going to open up even more. Games in Edmonton have seemingly had more shots and goals, so I'm optimistic that this could be a fireworks kind of game. Get back to that 6-4 game one type atmosphere.
Yeah. Uh, we're both on another guy in this game too for a point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you wanted to take it riskier, it's been on goals lately. But Barbashev, you had talked about him before game one, and
Electric.
yeah, he
Rip
had
those goals.
2 goals. Then his point was there last game, scored again. He has a goal. He had a goal in the second last game against Winnipeg, and then he had some assists in that series before that. So, we're looking at point, which is still plus 120. Um, the goal was up at 380, so you could sprinkle on
Damn.
that
Yeah.
too. But the point looks really solid. Top line. It's on the power play. Last game came through with that goal late, and surprisingly, it was Stone who was on the assist. So that's another reason why I like Stone too. He's even getting involved with with Barbashev there. But yeah, he's getting it done. Plus money looks really good. And if you even just look against Edmonton, he was on a 3-game streak with points against them before the playoffs too. So pretty solid.
Yeah, I can't believe his point is still so reasonable. Bet that the minute I woke up. Um, yeah, his goal was actually plus 440 earlier this morning. Still a crazy price to be given in what should be a high scoring game on a guy on the top line who has 3 goals in 2 games. Definitely don't hate that for a sprinkle. Let's see. Why don't we talk about a couple defenseman shots? Because I think a couple of them look pretty good. I think I saw you mentioning someone on Vegas. So why don't I leave him for you? But I want to talk about Darnell Nurse, um, who he just had some rising volume lately. One concern could maybe be that he had a dud at home the last time he was at home, but um, really solid attempts when I'm looking at his last 6 games. Really, last 5 if I throw out a dud. He's got 7 and 4 in the first 2 games this series, 3 straight. He's gone for 3+ against Vegas. I think at minimum, Nurse to get 2 shots would be nice and something if you're going to build out a shot parlay. He's got 2 in 7 of his last 9 against Vegas. And on the year, if I can bring that up, when Nurse even gets 4 attempts, which he's been getting pretty steady, he has 2 shots in 82% of games this year. So he's been pretty steady. He's down at 2 and an underdog, and that's I went right back to him. But I don't hate the 2.5 still at plus money based on what he's been doing against Vegas. 4-7-4 last. I guess he ended with 4-7-3, but still, he's been pretty solid. I don't really see that changing too much.
Yeah, I saw you call him out before last game, or yeah, before the last game, because of his volume going up, and he came through. Uh, if you're, it's really just about how you want to approach a lot of these plays too. Some people don't mind pairing together some stuff, or don't mind playing things that are juiced. But if you're looking for a straight play that's plus money, some of these guys that we're talking about are some of the, they're good options. Nurse, and then you were hinting at it, Petrangelo on Vegas. He's hit in 4 of his last 5. Nice volume in those hits. He had a one shot on goal game in the middle of there, and it was actually his only attempt. So, don't like that. But in between or around that, you see a 6, 5, 4, 8 attempt game, and he's got 3, 4, 3, 3 shots in those. And then you look at his chart against Edmonton. If you include those 2 games, the playoffs, he's over this line in 7 of his last 10 against them. And for defensemen, we get used to guys like Hamilton and people who are firing off 7, 8 attempts and maybe only getting 2 on net, 3 on net, something like that. And Petrangelo's had his games like that. Can't say that they don't happen. He is a defenseman, but a lot of the reason why he only has a 45% hit rate at this shot line this season is just low volume. If you just even take his shot attempts to just 4, just one over the line we would need for this bet, he has a 71% hit rate. So that's been his issue, is just not getting the attempts. But in 4 of his last 5 games, he's seen some nice volume. So plus money look there. Some nice history against Edmonton, and woke up with the shots recently. So if you can just expect, I would like 5 attempts. For a defenseman, I would like the wiggle room of at least like a couple block shots in there. But 71% hit rate at 4+ attempts, and he's got 6, 5, 1, 4, 8. So it looks pretty decent at the plus money.
Yeah. On the flip side, if you have a burning hatred of shots on goal props, and are wondering if we're ever going to talk about anything else, I think saves props, which are obviously pretty correlated with something like that, I do think Stuart Skinner saves looks pretty nice tonight on the Edmonton end. His line is only 26.5. He's hit that in 4 or 5 against Vegas, both games this series. And I was just, I do still put a decent amount of weight in home versus road data, like I mentioned at the top of the show. I just found it interesting. 2 road games for Vegas this postseason. They have 30 and 48 shots on goal, and both their trips to Edmonton this year, they had 34. So I thought 26.5, that was a little lower than I was expecting. I wrote down that I'd be happy to ladder Skinner up to 30 plus saves. So that's one I might play. It's minus 118 at 26.5. That one caught my eye. So thought I'd flag that out there. I haven't played it yet, but I might.
Well, it makes a lot of sense anyway. We're talking about, Eichel. So Marchessault has been firing away. Petrangelo's volume's up. So it makes sense. And on some of those books where you can do those same game parlays or those stacks, it's super correlated, and that's an extra leg. His saves in there with Eichel shots, with Marchessault shots. You're adding, maybe on some of these books, the odds might not go up as much as you want to because they're correlated. But on some of those sites, you need the legs in order to get the payout you want. So can make some nice game stacks there. Put in the opposing goalie and then some of those shots. That I'm sure that's what you've been putting those in your underdogs. I've seen people do that. So
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to combine the 2 goalies at alternate numbers, and then I remembered that's not possible. So that's a bummer. I would have liked to water down. Oh crap! I'm gonna butcher his name. I don't even want to try. Brissois. Brissois. I wanted him at 27. He's at 28.5. I think that's a little too high for me. Edmonton, actually, the 2 home games against Vegas this year, only 30 and 23 shots, which weirded me out a little. I don't think that's going to be everything. I mean, first two games against LA last round, they had 40 and 37 shots. So I put a little much more weight into that, but I still found that odd. But also Vegas has loosened up a lot more defensively compared to where they were at the start of the year with shots allowed. So maybe they both go over. I definitely expect it to be just an entertaining game on the offensive end. So I guess there's merit to both saves props.
Yeah, I think some of that during the regular season, we saw Draisaitl had much better hit rate on the road than he did at home. Um, so there's some trends there. Maybe some of these guys just were shooting a little bit less at home, but in the postseason, there's been pretty steady volume from some of these guys. I do like Draisaitl. I like him to score. Um, I like the 3 shots a lot more than the 4, and I know he's been hitting that 4 against Vegas a lot. It's just, he's just way more up and down at home. Um, it's
Mm.
actually pretty it is literally up and down. If you look at his recent home stretch last 10 games, it's over, under, over, under, over, under. So, McDavid has tended to pick it up at home with the shots, so maybe that would cause it. But I do like Draisaitl today. I like him a little bit better at 3
Oh yeah,
shots, but makes sense, looking back why that there was a little bit less volume from some of these guys at home.
for sure. I guess to summarize, um, I've been sort of, uh, if I really believe in a read in a game, I have definitely been putting a decent amount of eggs in that basket. For better or worse, when it doesn't work, like Game 7 of Rangers Devils last week, it fails miserably. But when it does work, it pays off beautifully. And I think there's going to be a lot of shots and a lot of goals in this game. So I loaded up a lot of plays that correlate with that. If it's a dud of a game, so be it. But not a lot that I've seen suggest it's going to be.
Mhm.
And we're running out of these juicy games. We're almost at the conference finals. We will be next week. Just gonna let it rip while we still can. And if we fall flat on our face, so be it. But I think tonight is looking great. Obviously, bet responsibly, but I think it's not a bad idea to load up a little goal parlay, maybe 3 guys to score, sprinkle a couple guys to get some shots in something. And there's a ton of nice value straight too. I don't
Mhm.
think just because there's one game, I think sinking a couple bets into one game isn't the worst idea at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't
Oh,
think Drake
I
was
wasn't.
good
No,
for shots.
that wasn't directed at you at all. It's
Minus
just a thought.
118, I think I saw. I was poking around on Pickett at those prices, and Barstool had minus 118, so a little bit better there. Um, and I was talking about him not shooting as much as at home, but this postseason he hasn't had less than 6 attempts, and then simple. You just filter the 6 attempts on here, and he's got a 64% hit rate over 3.5, and he has one game under 2.5. He has a 44, 45 games where he gets 6 attempts. He has 3 shots. So if you're looking for a solid floor,
Oh
Draisaitl
yeah,
is the man right there.
yeah. On props like that, she looks great, and really just when you watch him too. I mean, the guy every opening he gets, he's just been ripping that puck. Um, it's been awesome to watch. So
Shooting
definitely
it
like
off
him
people's
again.
backs.
I know it's crazy. Do we want to? How do we want to do this? Do we want to recap all the things we just threw up on this stream, or do we want to talk about tomorrow a little bit and then come back to summarize?
um, I guess we should probably just recap our bets and stuff for that slate, since there's not really many lines up for the next games, and it's going to be more, just talking the games in general. So I think we should just recap our bets a little bit here, and then at the end we can talk about our picket play.
Okay. Let's see.
So we did talk about a lot right there in this
We
game.
did. Um, well, let's see. Obviously Bouchard assist. I had to go right back to that. I know we both love Barbashev point.
Mhm.
The value is just crazy. There's been some awesome value on points props these playoffs. Um, let's see. Wait, oh, I typed out everything that I do really like. I know it failed last game, but the over 1.5 in the first, over 6.5 in the game at plus 120. It's been really steady between these two teams. So I had no hesitation going right back there. And March is so point, and I think it's going to be a goal, but I went a point. The guy's shooting too much to not be on the score sheet yet. So I'm banking on that changing tonight.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm going to end up using because I do have that boost, so I'll probably um use that on the Bouchard assist, bring it to plus money. But I'm gonna do the point parlay, Stone and Bouchard. Those two guys are just driving their teams right now. And I was looking at last game, it was Verhage and Riley. Those were the two I went with, and just two guys who've just been consistent. Um, there's the nice road trend for Stone and his points. Uh, just keeping it going. I want to find plus money on these bets.
Definitely. Although I did do Draisaitl goal at minus 122, but don't
Pretty
even care.
justified though.
Yeah, guys. All right, we'll circle back for pick it play of the day at the end. But so why don't we just high level chat about we got New Jersey, Carolina, Dallas, Seattle tomorrow. We won't be here to chat about those. New Jersey certainly came alive. Um, just obliterated Carolina yesterday, 8-4. Definitely encouraging to open that series back up a little bit. Um, they got a ton of shots off. Um, and lost in it. Carolina has still been steady with goals of their own. The over 5.5 is hit in all three of these games. Not so sure. I don't know if that's going to change at this point, especially now with New Jersey's offense opening up a little bit. One name I will have on my radar tomorrow. I was looking at him yesterday, but I chickened out. Dawson Mercer to get a point. If assuming they probably don't mix up their lines, I saw he was on a line with Timo and Hughes. I'm like, well, this is a good line. And Mercer was plus 120 for a point, and sure enough, he had two.
Yeah.
So that's a guy I'm planning to go to tomorrow, assuming those lines stay the same. Uh,
Yeah.
I was just I've been kind of fading that series for the most part. Haven't touched the Devils. Um, I was a little frustrated when I saw a quick point come in for Mercer. Um, because yeah, Timo and Hughes both came alive yesterday. Certainly can't stop now tomorrow. So that's one I definitely have on my radar.
Did Timo hit his shots in that game? I can't remember if he ended on three or got over to four. But
I think he stayed under.
in that, so remember when in the last series and they put him with the Husher line. I was like, all right, he's probably gonna start shooting more, and his shots went up, and he just wasn't able to get that goal. When I before the game started, and I saw that he was on the line with Hughes, I was like, I was like, is this finally the time where he's gonna score? Now that he's back on that line, but that was also the reason why I didn't end up pulling the trigger on his shots. And it's fun, he got the goal, but maybe on a didn't end up with as many shots on goal. Hughes just gives the people like that the perfect chance. Doesn't he can give them lots of chances, but rather than get 7 shots on goal with no goal, it's just like he just got put with Hughes, and it's like bam, fine, finds finally gets there.
So how do you think you'll play it tomorrow?
If those lines are the same, I don't want to say Timo's going to go on a streak scoring here, but I just think that line, that's what they needed to put those guys together. Um, and yeah, if Mercer's there, that's a hell of a good look. If you can get plus money for him to be with those guys. I mean, I know before the series against the Rangers, he was talking saying we need all your support, and he came out so flat. So him picking it up would be good. I think, yeah, he
Yeah.
talked the talk before that series, and so him to get going, if he's on that line again, that could be what he needs to just keep it going.
I would say, game wise, I'm frustrated with myself. It's obviously a lot easier to sit here and say it now with hindsight, but I am always a sucker for betting the home team coming back down 2-0. But New Jersey just got so physically dominated in those first two games that I just completely forgot that that was something I like to bet. So now that I have seen them deliver, I mean, I feel like they're going to win again tomorrow. Carolina has not been good on the road the last couple playoffs. I think they're 2-9 on the road the last 2 years in the postseason. I don't see why New Jersey can't grab another win tomorrow and even this series. So that's definitely the direction I lean in terms of an actual result.
Yeah, uh, I think I don't disagree there, especially if you just see even some of that same effort from some of those guys. He sure had a nice game. He was quiet for a while too. It's funny that it was him and Timo on that line. They were getting, you know, Timo was getting those shots off, and he sure is getting some assists and on some of these other from some other guys, and then they break them up and they end up scoring. So uh, if those guys can just keep that kind of effort, it's going to be hard for Carolina, like you said. They just have not been the same team on the road. Very different from the beginning of the last series with the Devils Rangers, where it's just road teams. So um, yeah, I very easily see this going, just tying it back up. Devils are just that energy. That's all it's going to take for them at home, I think.
Yeah. Dallas, Seattle. I mean, man, the Kraken just crapped on the Stars yesterday. At this point, I'm just so stubbornly rooted in my beliefs that I still think Dallas is the better team and going to figure it out tomorrow. Um, they were reasonably shut down with shots. I have to imagine that's going to open up a little bit more for them tomorrow. So I'll look. I was thinking Hintz's shots off the top of my head. He's got four or more in all three games this series, and I think in six of his last seven against Seattle. Um, so that's one I'll look at. Eberle keeps getting at least two shots.
Hmm.
And he scored also. I don't know. Maybe I need to start giving more attention to some Kraken point props because these games keep flying over, and I just, for some reason, just can't get behind this team as a whole. But at minimum, I don't. Ottinger did not look good yesterday. I have to imagine they're going to trust in him again. I don't know. Maybe reports come out in the contrary, but I don't know. The over, at least over 5.5 in both these games tomorrow, it keeps hidden, and I'm not so sure it's going to change.
Yeah, I'm very surprised about the Stars, but I mean, I guess that's how it's been all season. It's just every time the Kraken go on a streak or get a couple wins, it's just all you see is everybody just talking. All right, well, the regression is going to happen now. Yeah, and they just they're so efficient. Just score with they can just take a few shots, score. It's crazy, and um, I just think all season long everybody's just been saying that's going to change. So
I
maybe
know.
that's just what they are. They just need
Uh,
those
uh,
guys to get it done.
I'll tell you what, this has been putting me in a lot of holes, and I'm definitely negative in the because once I start thinking some guys do to score, I can never stop until the series is over. But Jason Robertson's now coming into that territory. It's like, when is this guy gonna score a goal? He's too good to not have a goal in this series. But I mean, I did the same thing with Timo last series and Zibanejad, and it's a slippery slope if you start chasing some guys due for a goal because it's really hard to stop. But man, I don't know. At some point, the guy's got to score. You would think
Yeah, I mean, you saw it finally happen for Timo, so it's bound to happen at some point.
the
I
Western
think
Conference Final, Game 3.
Just put it in your calendar right now. But I what you said before, you mentioned some guys at two shots or something like that. I think this series is yeah, you brought up Everly. This series has a lot of those like guys who just hit that the two and just kind of hang out there. Um, Ben, I know he's been hitting 2.5 here and there, but you drop him down to two, and it's just way more steady. Pavelski, Eberle. So, if you're not finding a line that you're in love with, a three line or something like that, it's definitely worth a look in this series at those alt lines. You could just be hitting Eberle, Pavelski, two shots, or some of these guys
Yeah.
almost nightly.
I know. I think Wyatt Johnson was the only one who screwed me. I had like a 5-man 2-plusser. His
Yeah,
goose egg was a bummer because I loved him the most. Actually, I almost played him at 3.
I did. I
Uh,
did put half unit on him at 3.
hmm,
Just
tough.
then he just drops off the face of the earth.
But yeah, so tomorrow's game should be fun, and then we'll be back Wednesday for a hell of a slate to talk Game 4 of Vegas Edmonton and Game 4 Toronto Florida, which we haven't really chatted about today. Florida's up 3-0, which is crazy. I think they're tied with Edmonton as the Cup favorites right now. I don't
What a
know if
world.
so. We'll save it for them. We'll talk Wednesday about those two. Let's go to pick and play the day. Back to tonight's game. Um, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So I think I talked about it a good bit before, but Jack Eichel, his shots over 3.5 was at plus 110 on Barstool. Um, saw that line over on Pickett. A little bit better price there than the other books, but just he was a guy this season that I think everybody expected more from, and he's woke up a little bit here. The volume is much nicer. He has a much steadier floor, around 6 shots now, and he just has a really impressive 76% hit rate when he's got like 6+ attempts. So it seems to put it together. He's going to be on the road, which he actually overall did better on the road with his shots. Um, and I before the series, I brought it up, going against McDavid. There's that little competition there, and back to back 5-shot games. I think he's going to keep that rolling.
Yeah, I think he looks great straight at plus money. I did play him paired with McDavid on the FanDuel combos at plus 235 just because I also love McDavid so much. Um, but I also put Eichel into an underdog play as well. I think he looks great today. And I actually think Vegas might outshoot Edmonton by a hair. So makes me like him even more to lead the charge.
Yeah, trend wise, that's a very possible outcome. We've seen it. Seen some of these guys go a little bit quieter at home for Edmonton, and uh, Vegas had some big games in it, Edmonton. So um, you'll need to see, Drysdale will need to keep that volume going. How he's had it. If he dips down a little bit, I could definitely see a little bit of issue there, but I think there's a lot to like on the Vegas side, for shots.
Yep. All right. Should be fun. Should be a fun night. Um, thank you guys for joining. Hope you circled some winners. I know we threw a lot out there. Um, so whatever reasoning you might have vibed with a little bit more, roll with that. Trust your gut, but let's have some fun tonight. And thanks for joining.
Yep. See you guys.